All right. We shall get started in just a minute. Let me make sure that this is active, but let me pause it. All right, perfect. And it's recording. All right. Thank you for joining us for day 23 of our Empowered Launch series, celebrating Small Business Month. And it's actually, I believe, Small Business Week this week. So I think that ends on the 25th, 26th. So if you're celebrating Small Business Week within Small Business Month, uh, happy, I guess there's no specific name for it, Small Business Month. So we are talking about the cash flow optimization. So we've been touching on different areas of the cash flow projections. So we're going to do an overview of what we covered and then a deep dive into how you could use the cash flow projections to then make sure the business is healthy. Because a lot of times we'll be operating our business and maybe checking each month what the balance looks like, but we need to know where money is coming out and going away from us and where money is coming in so that we can analyze and adjust if we need to make any decisions for our business. And we're going to do a couple of examples of how the decisions, pretty much the numbers dictated the decisions instead of just running the business by winging it. And so there's a lot of learning that I've done over the years that showed me why the bank account wasn't matching what I thought we were making. So I'll show you kind of where it was breaking down and be able to give you an example for the cash flow projections. So let me share my screen. Oh, and I was grabbing this link, so that's let me share first. Share this. All right, so this cash flow projection spreadsheet, if there's one that you already use, feel free, but this one is available. What you can do is make a copy of it. So if it still says template, make a copy at the top, go to file, and then you can make a copy. So the copy that we had made before was the Detailing Nights test one. So we use this one just as an example. But if you make a copy, you can put your name of your business here, and then you can change all these numbers. You can change any of the items that you might specifically need for your business so that we can follow along. So you'll notice some of the topics that we covered in previous days. There's areas for you to put notes. So if you're coming in on this day and realizing that there were 22 other days before we got to day 23, you can go back and check those replays. So in this spreadsheet, the replay links are here, and I'm going to find all the topics and all the replay links and turn this into a more robust document. We started having the idea of, hey, this spreadsheet could do a lot, and I love spreadsheets. So other than that, we're probably going to put it into another format, but for now, I like spreadsheets, so we're going to use it. And you can take notes in here. So you know it has the startup cost section, the sales forecast section, the cost of goods sold section, your cash flow forecast, and we're going to be talking about the marketing breakdown, which is actually below here as well, to explain the effort that's needed in your marketing to hit your revenue goals. And then other notes that you can take with your key partners and key resources that you need. And it's preloaded with some resources that we can support you with, whether it's ACBN, the Afro Caribbean Business Network. If you need access to funding or support with your marketing and sales, we can support. And of course, Empowered for X, who is putting on this Empowered Launch series. So reach out to Chris Beth, her email is in there so that you're able to get additional support. I would definitely book at least a one-to-one meeting after going through this series, really to see how it all comes together and then see what support or who you can be connected to, or if there's internal things that Empowered for Us can help you with, you'd be able to get that support right away. So we will be adding more resources to this list. So if you know of resources that you think you need or people that you know that are great expert service providers, we are going to fill out these resources from our network as well. So to jump back, so a quick overview, we talked on one of the days about the startup costs. So really understanding one of two things. One, if you're starting the business from scratch, what elements do you need to buy right now that will help you get the business off the ground? Or if you're working on like hitting a milestone for your business and you need to purchase certain things, or you just want to prepare for the next month and you kind of want to get the startup costs or things that you need to buy, whether it's equipment or specific inventory. This is a good example to use, or a good framework to use, so that you know, one, how much you need, and then two, where you're going to get the money from. So for this example, we talked about like the virtual office, or if you need internet equipment, cleaning supplies, which was for detailing nights. And then it came up to 4,835. So in this section where the owner's contribution is, so if you have your own savings or you're gonna put this on a credit card, you'd be able to put that amount in here, which would then show you don't need any outside funding. If you do not have the money and you do need a loan, it helps you give an idea of what the loan cost would be. So if we're going to get a loan and this would work out to about 10%, yeah. So over 2 years, it would then be $221 a month. So that way, you know you're getting a loan, whether it's from ACBN microloan program or the Black Opportunity Fund or the FACE Coalition. You can put that cost here and calculate what that monthly payment would look like. That way, we can capture it in the, oh, that's the loan proceeds, in the actual, where is the loan? Oh, loan and interest payments amounts. So for the startup cost, again, a good exercise just to put in the numbers so you know how much you need. If you can self-finance it, great. If not, you would know how much you need to get outside. We're gonna skip the sales forecast for now and go to the cash flow forecast. And then after this cash flow forecast, we're gonna come back to the sales forecast and the cost of goods sold, because we want to determine, are we is our business healthy? So a healthy business takes into account all the expenses that are going to happen for that month. And then we have to figure out how much revenue we're bringing in minus our cost of goods sold. And our gross profit needs to cover our total expenses. So the expenses is a combination of the startup costs. So we were calculating our startup costs. So you'll see it's in a different column because this is actually to get the business going. But then we need to see what are all the costs that are going to happen month to month. So this highlighted yellow section is now the monthly cost that you're going to have every single month. So for certain things like the equipment or the cleaning supplies, those are not going to be monthly purchases. They're going to sit, like the equipment will sit on your balance sheet and then it's depreciated over time. We talked about this yesterday with the balance sheet section. So if you need a refresher on that, check the replay for yesterday. But things like the business bank account, your booking calendar, the Prius payments, if it's lease payments, those are going to be every month. So you want to be able to track those. And then and then you also need to factor in any other monthly payments. So you remember the loan interest payments, loan interest and principal, actually, those will be monthly. So we calculated it in the startup cost section. It now comes into our spreadsheet. We're estimating how much we're going to pay in marketing every month. We're going to have a business phone. We're going to have auto insurance, business insurance. So our expenses come to $1,957. So a great way to figure out what your monthly costs are is to use your previous bank statement. So your business bank statement, pull it out, go through it line by line. Anything that's in there that is a monthly cost, I would start to put those into the spreadsheet, and it'll give you an idea of how much expenses you have for the month, and that will help you give kind of a guiding light in how much revenue you should be making for that month. So when we're talking about our revenue, so I want to take you down the journey of detailing nights when we first started out into the sales forecast. All right, so you'll see the price here. So initially, when I started this company, I was charging, I think it was $40 per detail. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. We go to people's houses or their offices, we clean their car on the spot without water and our plant-based eco-friendly cleaning supplies. So I'd go door to door and we'd be selling the service and it would be $40. So you'll notice when we calculate our expenses, the expenses come up to $1,957, but the initial revenue we were bringing in was 1,200. So if this was happening every single month, you'll see this month we're losing $3,000. And again, some of these expenses weren't there. I'll say like the Prius, I didn't have no leased Prius and stuff, and auto insurance wasn't that high, but we were still at a loss. So looking at these numbers and seeing the bank account kind of going backwards, you have to start making decisions about what you're doing with the business. So there's usually three ways that you can fix a non-profitable business. First way, you eliminate some of these expenses, or you can get the revenue up. And so the revenue can go up by increasing the amount of units that you're selling. So I could clean more cars. So let's see if I cleaned 90 cars in the month, which is 3 a day, that would be 3,600. And then, oh wow, it's still going backwards. And oh, you know why it's going backwards still? Because every time we clean a car, when we did our cost of goods sold, it was this is crazy. So this should be 2 hours. Hold on. So it's $44 in labor. So if I was gonna send somebody to clean a car, you'll notice that if we're only charging $40, we're losing no matter how many cars we sell or how many cars we clean. But just to, because I know, let's say I was doing it myself. So just to see if we're cleaning 90 cars, 3,600, the labor, oh, that should be zero. Hold on. Let's put that at zero for now. Okay, so gross profit. Okay, so if I could bust my butt every single day or every month and clean 90 cars, we'd be able to have a bit of a profit. But
But
we all know that,
the cost of material, does that not change with the change of the amount of cars cleaned?
yeah, so it went up. You'll see the cost of goods sold is $4.27. So now every car that we're cleaning, these 90, so if it's only 30 cars, it should be 128 in supplies. But if we're cleaning 90, it would go up to 384. So yes, the supplies that we're using every month, and that's why we're not as profitable as we could be because our cost of goods sold is still being calculated. So the other way that we can also increase our revenue is to adjust our price. So let's say that cleaning 90 cars in a month by yourself is not sustainable. So now we're going to put that back to 30, and then we can increase this. So if we increase it to 60, so we're at 1,800. So that doesn't even work. So we increased it to 90, that'd be at 2,700. So on paper, 90 looks okay because 2,700 should cover our total expenses, but you'll notice the profit is low and I'm still cleaning the cars myself. So we need to actually put back our labor person. Let me make sure this calculates properly. So it should be 44. And then this should be equals this one times how many we clean. So it costs us $1,300 to clean these cars. So you'll notice that's going to cause us to be in the negative. So if I didn't want to hire anybody and I was just doing it myself, $90 per car clean could work. But we found I think our sweet spot was 129. Let's see if this one works. Yes. So at 129, the pricing allows us to have room for our cost of goods sold, which is if we're cleaning 30 cars, $128, and our labor to send somebody to clean the cars is 1,300. At the end of the month, we would have actually, did I take out the Prius? No, I left the Prius. So we still have our car. So we'd be profitable $500. This is where you can grow it. You can hire more people and do more cars, but at least for that month, if we expand this for the rest of the year, we would be profitable. So now this price is where we optimize our cash flow projections. So it does take a bit of research and development. You have to price this out. When we did our cost of goods sold session, we talked about for detailing, we needed to have somebody to do the work and we needed to have the solution, like the cleaning supplies for every car. So this does usually take a bit of front-loaded work. So if you do need help with figuring out your cost of goods sold to calculate your unit economics, so for every product that you sell or for every service that you provide, you want to know how much it's costing you so that you can have an accurate representation of the costs in your cash flow projections. So at one point, when you start to then want to bring on staff and salaries, so let's see what that does to our calculation. If we were going to hire somebody and let's say they cost $2,000 a month and they're getting benefits, which is this times 12%, so $240. So if we have a salesperson, if they're only selling 30 cars sales, that person is not a good return on investment. So they should be at least doubling or tripling our sales if we're going to hire somebody. So let's say that should be 90. So now we're at 11,000. That makes our profit go up. So we're doing more cars, but we're still profitable because on each car we're cleaning, we're at a profit and we can have somebody doing the sales. So this is where you can start building out the team that is running the business and you are not pulling every lever in the machine. So before, when we started out, I was the one cleaning all the cars and I needed to clean 90 cars a month just to scrape by. Now we have the right pricing that we can hire a detailer. Before, I was the one going out and making all the sales. So with this projections, I could hire somebody at that 2,000 a month if they can bring in more sales that I was doing, or maybe us as a team are bringing in more. So then you can start to see you are now becoming the business owner because you've calculated what it takes for your business to run without you doing every single job. Like the
Does
only
that $2,000 a month include commission, or there's zero commission on just straight?
Yeah, it's an example. So it depends how you want to structure it. I mean, typically we would do base plus commission if they're a straight salesperson. But yeah, just for example's sake, if we're spending $2,000 on somebody, they need to be bringing in more sales than I could be doing just by myself, is the example. But did you have an additional question there about the cash flow projection? Oh, did I lose you?
No, that is really good because there's so many hidden costs when dealing with this stuff, and you don't really see where you're bleeding or hemorrhaging money because of those additional costs like travel expenses and or pulling for the new staff and all that stuff, but that they start requesting. So yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of times we'll hire people, but we don't track what's the return on investment for anybody that we bring into the company? Because even if we just bring in a virtual assistant that's helping you answer the phone, that cost has to be worth it. So by them answering the phone more for you so you don't miss calls, is that increasing your sales? So all these conversations that you're having about your business, a lot of times they're just in our head. So we have to take time to strategize and actually put ideas in your head to paper so that we can see it. And again, put it in a spreadsheet so you can start to see, okay, how much can I afford to pay somebody? If I bring on somebody, how much do they need to bring in to make this make sense? If maybe we're paying too much for insurance, maybe we don't need this type of vehicle and we can just buy one for $3,000 cash and not have a $450 payment. There's different decisions that start to, I always say, like, the numbers tell the story. So you can start figuring out what the story is of your business by doing this exercise. Now, just before I'm gonna finish this cash flow projections just so it goes to the end of the year, so we get this number, and then jump to the marketing section. So I did want to check, was there any other questions just on what I've covered so far?
Hey Ryan, it's Shelley. Hope you can hear me.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. I just put in the chat that it came across like there were three ideas that you were going to present, and I don't know if I missed one.
Right. The three different ways that we can maximize our cash flow projections or our profits. So if we're seeing that we're operating at a deficit for the month, we can look at, the first thing was reducing your expenses. So seeing which areas we could cut costs. The second was increasing the amount of sales. So increasing the units that you're selling. So we said, hey, we are cleaning 30 cars. What does it look like if we clean 90 cars? And then the third one was increasing the price. So looking at what price actually would allow us to be profitable even if we sold the same amount of vehicles, same amount of services for the month.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me fix that. All right, so let me just check. Oh, and I wasn't able to see the chat. Was there any other questions before I jump to the next section? All right. So when you do your first month, and then you're going to want to expand it across. So we're just going to use this as an example. Let's say we're doing 30. No, we have a salesperson, so we're doing 60. Actually, does a salesperson, are we profitable? Okay. So we have a salesperson at 2,000. We're profitable. Oh, what happened in these months? Oh, because we still are doing 30. So let's say, for example, we're going to do 60 every single month. Although realistically, the first 2 months are typically lower. So those are usually, let's say, 30. Let's make this as realistic as possible. And then in March, it starts to grow. Our main season is in the summer, and then it goes down, and end of the year we usually do about 30. So this takes into account the seasonality of the business. So you'll notice in the winter months it's a bit slower. In the spring it starts to increase. In the summer we're typically at our peak, and then fall and winter it goes down again. So if your business is seasonal, you want to know where, like, how your cash flow is going to change. Because, for example, if we're looking at the different months here, you'll notice that, hey, these 2 months, we are negative. Hold on. Okay. And then in December, we're negative. And in January, February, we're negative. So there's a couple ways that you can approach it. You can say, okay, we're going to go hard in the middle and have to save and make sure that there's overflow for the slow months, because you'll see after the first couple months, the cumulative surplus. So there's money there to cover a short winter. But if you're not tracking where it's going to be slow and when it's going to be when you're going to have more sales. Because a lot of times, if you're selling products, December, maybe November with Black Friday, December are the big months, and January, February, March is slower, and then it picks back up April. You need to be aware of this. Like, these are things that you would know if you're already operating your business. You can look at the trends for your previous months, and again, use those bank statements, how much money is coming in. Then you'd be able to actually plan for those slower months. But if you don't have any idea, and the bank account, there might be money there because you did great in December, but then you didn't save that money to kind of tide you over for the next 3 months, it gets very stressful. And so we want to reduce as much stress as we can. So that's what, again, the cash flow projections really helps you have an eye on your company. One thing that we started doing with this spreadsheet is creating the actuals. So you would project what the month would look like, and then in the next column, it would put the actual. So that's more advanced, and we typically do that one-to-one. If you did need support with creating a spreadsheet that tracks the actuals, feel free to book some time with us. Happy to support you with it. But let me expand these out as well. Why is that not expanding? Why is that so high? Okay, no, it shouldn't be that high. One sec. This should be equals this times how many sales? No, that didn't work. Oh, so this one times this one equals 128, and that should pull across. But why is that so high? Oh, because I did not put the star beside it. I mean, the number sign, so that keeps it pulling from the same cell. Otherwise, it's pulling from the other cells. Okay, there we go. So same with this one. It needs to pull from the same cell every time. And pull it across. That is more reasonable. Because yeah, we had 30 sales in January, 30 sales in December. Those should be identical. And let me make sure what else did we pull across that I might have made a mistake. Oh no, we're good. All right. So now moving into, we've done our cash flow projections to understand what our startup costs are, what our expenses are for the month. We've done it for every single month. We've identified how to optimize the projections with our sales, whether it's how much we're selling because of our seasonality, and also the proper price to charge. And one thing, you can also add in other revenue items. So if you sell different services or you sell different products, I try to lump it as much as you can, because with products, you could have 100 different products. So you want to kind of lump them into specific groups. And again, these are estimates. So your accounting software will definitely go into more detail on every single item you sell. But for our projections, they're more estimates. So you don't have to get as granular as that. But yeah, we looked at this average price for our services. So showing our revenue, let's say we're at 100,000. We have our total cost of goods sold, 37,000. Then this would be our gross profit over our total expenses. So gross profit minus our total expenses. We would have 18,000 in profit for the year based on these calculations. And now the main question would be, how do we get to this 100,000? So projections is nice, but we need to turn it into action. So below, you'll see we've created a way to track what type of marketing effort is needed in order to hit those numbers. And again, a lot of times, a lot of these calculations initially will be estimates, and then as you're operating your business, you're going to start to find out the exact numbers so that you can plug them in. But our revenue goal right here is 100,000, and we know we need to sell 780 units to hit this 100,000. So now you'll see it breaks down what your average sale price would be, how many you need to sell every month, how many you need on average, because remember, we have seasonality, but how much you'd have to sell every week, and then how much you'd have to sell every day. But it also then shows, in order to make these sales per day, how much how much how much attention would you need in order to get these sales. So that's broken down in three ways. One, you need to figure out how many impressions, so how many people are hearing about seeing your business. Two, how many people are then seeing and hearing about your business and actually coming to your website or calling you. And then three, based on how many people come to your website or call you, how many are you converting into a sale? So if they go to that checkout box, how many of them are actually converting? So we call those things, first, it's our impressions. So the impressions are, oh wait, here, total impressions and total impressions. So how many people are seeing your stuff? So if we have so I'll explain it and then I'll break it down first. So the impressions is how many people are seeing your advertisements. If you have a billboard somewhere or your radio ads, usually those are trickier to track impressions, but sometimes they give you estimates. But let's use Google Ads, for example. So if you buy Google Ads, it'll show you how many impressions your Google Ads got, because every time somebody searches something and your ad is shown, that's considered an impression. Now, when a person sees the ad and clicks on it and comes to your website, that would be considered a lead. So now the person comes onto your website. Ideally, you should have a strong lead magnet on your website, where that lead magnet is something that would get them to give you their email address. So that way you can keep in contact with them, even if they don't buy right away, because in order for you to make the sale, they need to inquire about the product or service that you're selling. So for example, with Detailing Nights, if we put up a Facebook or a Google ad, let's say it takes, well, we could use this example. So per sale, 400 people need to see our ad, because 10% of them are going to click on it and come to our website. So if 400 people see it, that means 40 people will come to our website. Out of the 40 people that are leads and come to our website, we have a 5% that will actually go to our booking page and actually go through booking an appointment or call us to book an appointment. So when somebody calls us or they go to our booking page, we have a 50% close rate. So that means every person that calls me and is interested in getting a car clean, I can close half of them. So it takes me talking to two people to get that one sale. So if we know that, that means for the entire year, we need to 312,000 people need to see our advertisements or our Facebook ads. And this is where you could actually get the exact cost, because Google would show you how much it costs to get 312,000 impressions. From those 312,000 impressions, 10% of those we're estimating will click on it and come to our website, which would be 31,000 people. And then of those 31,000 people, 5% are going to like what they see on our website and click to book. When those people click to book, it's going to be 1,560 people. And then we're going to close 50% of those and get us to our 780 sales. And boom, we've hit our quota for the year. If this all worked out perfectly, all we'd have to do, because we'd have our website ready and our booking calendar ready, all we'd have to do is right here is the magic moment. How much does it cost to get 312,000 impressions? So this is the effort that we have to put into our marketing. So let's say, I don't know, it costs $1. So $1 per, usually it's per 1,000. No, let's just say $1. No, that'd be crazy. That wouldn't make any sense. So 1,000. So if we have 1 per 1,000, and I should actually just pull up my Google Ads and we can see, I think it was costing, yeah, just under $1. So for 1,000 impressions, it costs $1. So 312 divided by 1,000. So it would cost $312 to get 312,000 impressions. That might be low, but let's say that's the case. That means our marketing for the entire year would only be, like, we would just take this marketing and it would be $312 and we would hit this. But if everything worked out well and these estimates were true, we would put $312 into our marketing for Google Ads. We would get this many impressions. From those impressions, this many people would come to our website. From our website, this many people would be interested to buy, and we would close half of them. And so that marketing cost would be a good estimate. I'm curious how much 312,000 impressions actually costs, so we could always do that calculation. But this is where, oh, let me take this back. So this is where now these estimates is what you need to determine if it's true. Because if it actually is worse than 10%, let's say it takes, you're only getting a 2% conversion. That means your impressions, the amount of people that need to see your ads, would be 1,560,000. So this is where the more you know these numbers, so if you're currently doing Facebook ads or Google ads, or even if you're posting on social media, you would need to start looking at, okay, how much impressions are my posts getting? And then from those posts, how many people are actually clicking and going to our website? And that'll give you the percentage of, they call it the click-through rate. So if a person sees your ad, what percentage of them actually click and go to your website? So fun fact, if you are posting on social media and you don't have a call to action where somebody can actually click and do something, which should be go to your website or go to a landing page, you're not going to be able to get these numbers, and you really don't know how effective your social media posts are. So that would be your homework, to start making sure that your social media posts, you're tracking how many impressions you're getting and how many people are actually clicking them and going to your website. Then you want to be able to check your Google Analytics so that you know how much traffic is coming to our website. And then based on how many people are coming to our website, how many of them are actually buying, or how many of them are going to the checkout, or how many of them are calling you. That'll give you your conversion rate. So when a person is now interested to buy, they're going to call you or they're going to go to your checkout page. And then you want to know, how well do you close that person? Are they going to your checkout page and just bouncing off, or are they calling you and you're not closing them? Then you would know what your close rate is. So once you're able to start operating each month, then you're going to be able to understand what percentage these are, and that'll show you how much effort you actually have to put into your marketing. Because if you're not going to pay for ads, these impressions, let's say it's 5%, to get 624,000 impressions, you have to be very consistent with your marketing. You have to be very consistent with your posting, and you want to be able to check and make sure that it's effective and working. So if we just leave it up to chance, then all the marketing dollars that we're putting into our business, I think we estimated it was like 2,400. We don't know what's working. So we want to be able to track and make sure that we know what's working. And again, setting up this type of tracker, we could always support you with it. It's in the template, but if you have trouble just navigating it or adjusting it to your business, we're here to support you with that. But all that to say, I know spreadsheets, I go deep quick because we have this limited time together, but we can always book additional time to make sure this is set up for you or just get your feedback. But we are here now, so would love to check if there's any questions about how to calculate like the marketing breakdown. So how much effort you actually have to put in to hit your sales goals. So I'll pause there. I apologize. I wasn't looking at the chat if anything came in.
All this seems like a lot of work and a lot of wearing a different hat to truly understand how you're doing business in a meaningful way. How does one leverage help in meeting some of these quota, and how does one continue to build off of the data they receive in building out the infrastructure business engagement that they have to do while at the same time trying to sell all
Right.
this? How did you do it for your example with what you've done before the den and after the den?
Yeah, I mean, building out your team is a mantra that I'm going to keep harping on. Because, for example, this type of calculation, a marketing agency or a person focused on marketing on your team, they would live and breathe this. So even if you brought on somebody part-time to start and said, you know what, you're going to be in charge of marketing and overseeing kind of the marketing section, they would be looking at this every day and then reporting to you. So it's good for you to know what you're looking for, but you really want to put a person in this position so that they're the one always tracking, and then it doesn't slip. Because if it's just you, and yes, we can definitely learn about how to do this tracking, we can learn about how to do the bookkeeping side of it, and we can learn about optimizing the sales, but you want to get somebody into that position as fast as possible so that they can focus on it and then you can focus on your strength. Because a lot of times when even we talked about bringing in a salesperson, like, yes, you could be out there pounding the streets and doing the sales, but really you're the person that should be producing. For us, it was like, okay, I should be cleaning cars, somebody else should be selling, and somebody else should be doing the marketing. And then once you're able to put a person in each place, then as a business owner, you're able to oversee. And that's where when you're talking about the den and with Dragon's Den, learning how to then franchise the company and put the business in a box, everything has to be able to work with any operator. It can't always be you doing like pulling all the levers in the machine. So yeah, as soon as you kind of understand what you're trying to do with your marketing, finding somebody that can start part-time. Hey, Fiverr and Upwork is great for virtual assistants that can help with marketing, and just they can focus here, and then you're just checking in to say, okay, last month, how many impressions did we have? How many people actually converted? Like, what are our conversion percentages? And this is something you can actually check week to week. Like, you can be really granular to say, even like the end of the day, I need to report how many people came to our website from our social media or our ads, and then how many converted. And every day you're working with your team to just fine tune it. So yeah, the faster you can get a team member to focus in this area, it'll it'll take a lot of stress off of your shoulders for sure.
But does factor in some new numbers now if we're
Mhm.
looking for virtual assistant or something that you didn't calculate in your example.
Yeah, because right here where we talk about like the marketing section, this would be us outsourcing this work. So a person to focus on doing the marketing would be this marketing cost. And then so now as the business owner, this thing is happening without me having to do it. Like somebody is paid to focus on it.
Copy.
Mhm. All right. And yeah, before we wrap up for today, because I know tomorrow we are covering the executive summary, which is day 24. So we're bringing everything together so that we can create a solid statement for your company. And we do want to invite you to the anniversary celebration on Saturday. So I'll actually get the link so that you can sign up. It is the Zoom meeting. All right. So yes, if you're able to make it, actually, is this the right link? The live stream. Yes. So Saturday at 6 o'clock, we are going to be announcing some exciting different projects that we're working on. So definitely celebrate with us on Saturday. And Anne, I see your hand is up. You can go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, I was just looking at the good information today as always for the live stream for Saturday because I think I registered when I got the link way before, but
Mhm.
I